One of the best known exercises to build your inner chest is something called the cable crossover exercise. And pretty much if you walk into any gym and you ask how to build your inner chest, some gym bro is gonna tell you you've gotta do cable crossovers. And you can't really blame them either because the exercise sounds awesome and it is the most well-known inner chest exercise. It is not, however, the best way to really train your inner chest, and it is not the best version of the cable fly, especially if you want to keep your shoulders healthy in the long term and if you really want that chest development. So let's go over the cable crossover, the way everybody tells you that you should do it, and we're going to show you a better way to do it. That way you can really get those chest gains. So we've got Brett here to help us demo the classic cable crossover, and we're going to use this as an opportunity to show you all the reasons that this is not the best way to build your chest. And all Brett's going to do, we're going to start with the handles high in the traditional cable crossover. Brett is going to take a large step forward. He's gonna brace his abs and lean forward in his torso just slightly. Now he's really in position. He's gonna squeeze his shoulder blades, and all he's going to do is fly the cables in front of him, and the crossover part comes at the end here. Let's show him, Brett. He's actually going to cross over his arms. In theory, we're doing this so that we get a much more aggressive and full contraction than we get on our standard cable flies and on our dumbbell flies. That is supposed to be the advantage of the move. In theory, we are taking our chest through a truly full range of motion when we cross over like that. But there are a couple issues with this move, and we're gonna go over them. The first issue, the main issue that I have with this exercise is one, there's a lack of overall stability and there's a lack of consistency in his torso position. It's not supported. So he can lean forward if he needs to even more. That way he can grab a little bit more leverage and then he's getting a little bit less. He's kind of creating more favorable angles so he can get the fly done a little bit more easily, or he can lean back a little bit more. Either way, he's not necessarily going to be consistent from set to set to set and from workout to workout so that he can truly chart improvement. The bigger issue with this though is the shoulder risk. So every single time Brett flies in front of him, his humerus and clavicle, he's really closing down all that joint space on every single rep. So this is a recipe for shoulder issues in the long term. And it's also not gonna give us the most advantageous chest contractions for another reason. That big reason is we're thinking of our arms as this giant lever that our chest is adducting across. But what our chest is really adducting across, and the way you really want to wind up thinking about your flies, is your upper arm is the joint that is being moved. And we can think about our elbows coming together a lot more effectively if we get away from this cable crossover idea and we get to something smarter, and we're going to show you how to do that now. So how are we going to change that classic cable crossover to make it better, to make it shoulder safer, and to help you get more out of it? We're gonna bring a bench into things, and you can technically set this bench at any height you want. I would say set it at the highest possible incline because of how we're trying to set up here. And we've taken the cables and we've dropped them below the bench. And what this is gonna do is instantly it's gonna give Brett a lot more stability when he's doing his cable flies rather. And because he has that stability, he's gonna be able to push that much more to fatigue. And he's also going to be able to really focus on the squeeze on every single contraction because he doesn't have to worry about anything else. So how is Brett gonna position himself here? He's gonna get in front of the bench. He's not going to sit down on the bench though. Instead, he's going to maintain his position. We're just using this bench for stability and to add some consistency to the fly. He actually wants to make sure that his shoulder blades also are off the bench, so he's gonna set up high. Now, why do we want our shoulder blades off the bench? That is the one thing that the cable crossover does very well, is it allows the free movement of the scapula, which is something we really want on our pressing exercises and on our adduction concepts, and we still have that here. The other great thing with this bench is he can lean back a little bit and he can think about opening his chest when he's in that stretch position. When he does that, that's really setting him up to get a better stretch on his pecs, and then he's going to just simply from this position, while still squeezing his shoulder blades and still getting a little bit of lean back, thinking about keeping his shoulders behind his chest relative to that bench, all he's gonna do is that fly. He's not going to cross over on this. We want to pay attention to a couple things that he is doing instead of crossing over. The first thing, stay right here, Brett, and just hold that. You'll notice that he's leading with his pinkies and almost getting a little bit of scoop in there. That's going to help him ensure that the idea that's driving this fly is chest adduction and it's nothing else. The other thing he's going to do, let's give him another rep, Brett. He's going to stay long through his arms, And as he drives forward, he's thinking about driving his elbows together as hard as he can. So we're not crossing over pointlessly, and we're not losing the entire integrity of our shoulder capsule. Instead, what we're doing is we're just thinking about squeezing in that position. So we're gonna actually wind up getting a much better chest contraction out of that. Now, the great thing about this fly on top of that is, again, he's got the bench for stability. So let's give them a couple reps, Brett, and let's really push. So we can take this set to true technical fatigue for our chest. And this is an exercise that is meant to be taken to technical fatigue. You can really push it and you can really exhaust yourself while doing it very, very safely and while keeping all of the stimulus on your chest, which is the entire idea of the cable fly. So instead of doing your cable crossovers, you want to execute them like this on the high bench with your torso with your shoulder blades just off of the bench and really focusing on that squeeze on every single rep. And that will give you a much better chest pump and much better chest gains than all the cable crossovers that the gym bros are telling you to do. So that is both the cable crossover and the improved version that will truly help you get chest gains. And there are multiple ways that you can use this in the workout. The prime way, and the way you're gonna see most guys use it, we're gonna put it at the end of our chest workout or at the end of an upper body day. It's a really, really good exercise. We can hit, say, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. You get a really good pump on that inner chest after you've done your heavy lifts already. The other more advanced way you can use it, if you've been in the gym for a while and if you're really, really prepared, we can use this as a pre-fatigue exercise. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do, say, 3 to 4 sets of a superset, and we're gonna lead off that superset with 8 to 10 reps of cable flies. And that is going to then fatigue our chest a little bit, leave us a little bit tapped out. Then we will go to a multi-joint exercise like an incline dumbbell press or a flat bench press, something like that. You can hit that for 6 to 8 reps. You're gonna really, really get a nasty chest pump out of that. Again, it's a very advanced way to use the cable fly. Either way, stay away from the cable crossover exercise. It's a hyped exercise, but if you really, really want gains, stick with the version that we showed you and your chest will keep growing.